This is an example of three-point perspective. If you look at the dotted line, you can see that it's actually a triangular piece. So the left-hand top point is north, the one on the right side is east. That's 90 degrees again, just like a two-point perspective. But now we have, instead of those up and down lines running straight up and down, they're now projecting toward a point on the bottom. So any cubes that you draw within that space, every line of the cube is going to have a place to go to. This is an example of sticking cubes in that, projecting down below your feet, and a normal two-point perspective up on the top. But you're looking down at this particular scene. So let's look at it in reverse. Now, if you just use the grid, flip it over, and have the top point, that's a point above your head, and then you have the north on the bottom, and the east on the right. Let's put that same structure in this and just flip it over. The reason you would use a three-point perspective is you're looking at something that's different than your typical straight-ahead shot. It's something that's interesting up above your head and above your eye level. You have to think about what grid you want to use because of what subject matter you want to play with. Here's a point down below your feet looking over at skyscrapers. Just a very creative scene showing how this can work. This is another one. You can see the point below your feet. You'd have to be in a skyscraper looking out a window at the rest of these taller buildings in order for this to happen. So you're looking at that bottom point below your feet, and then the north, and I think of is east.
Now I'm going to show you a three-point perspective drawing. But first I want to review just a little bit. When we did the one-point perspective, we have the three sets of parallel lines of the cube, and we actually just project one of those lines toward a vanishing point. The other two are still running parallel to each other. Then we get to two-point perspective. We take two of those sets of the three sets of lines of a cube and project them towards their two different vanishing points. And one set continues, the up and down lines still run straight up and down. Now when we get to three-point, like this particular drawing here, this is the finished result of what we're going to be showing you from step one to get to this, is that all three sets of lines of the cube now have a direction to go to a vanishing point. So there's the up and down lines go toward that bottom point, and the other two sets of lines of cubes actually work just like two-point perspective. They'd be going to the left or to the right-handed vanishing point. So that's how we get to three-point perspective. This point could be below your eye, or below your feet, you might say, or above your head. If you flip these dots over, or the grid over, you could be looking up underneath buildings, or if you flip it like we have it now, you'd be looking down at the buildings. This shows the grid that I use for the three-point. I like to bring out the vanishing points first. You can see it's three sets of straight lines, and the actual canvas that should be drawn should be within this triangle. And you can see we're straight lines with everything, and every part of the cube has some place to go. And if you keep inside that triangle, everything is very, very accurate. When I think of this in relationship to the spherical perspective, this is 1/8. You get 1/8 of the sphere. You know, between the two vanishing points, north to east up on the top there, that's 90 degrees. And then it's another 90 degrees down to the point below your feet. So as you start creating a city, and you stick with those three sets of parallel lines, even the windows that are put in, doors and windows, all have to be projecting toward these 3 points also. Three-point perspective is like a very special, when you have very special type of thing that you want to draw. Looking down at the city like this, or looking up like a mouse eye view of a world up above you. If you just flip this grid upside down, it works perfect for that. You can see now that I have moved outside the the triangle. So you can get away with it as long as it keeps a nice consistent drawing. It just gets a little weird once it gets stretching out there. In the end, I typically would erase any of these transparent lines, which I will do for the finished product, but at this point I just going forward with the drawing. Adding some people into it, the trees, the vegetation helps make it much more real. And once again, I'm going to be adding color into it so that you can see the different planes in the drawing. The red planes are all facing, the building's facing a certain direction. The orange here is another plane. So I'm going to try and keep all the same planes the same color, even though they're different buildings. Landscape and mountains help also, of course, to make it seem like a real world that you're looking at. You can do interiors with this system or exteriors. You can be in buildings and hold it to these 3 points also. The 3 points, if you were to continue these 3 points 8 more times, you'd actually complete a spherical picture when you're done. Just a little glimpse of the grid that I'm constantly looking through this sheet of paper at this grid underneath in order to make sure I'm all sensible with. So this completes the 3-point perspective, and we'll be looking at the 4-point, which would add the other point up above your head, but it starts to get into curved line perspective.